What if everything you've been told about heart health is incomplete? Most people focus only on cholesterol, but the real driver of heart disease often starts with metabolic dysfunction, specifically blood sugar imbalance and chronic stress. In today's webinar, you're going to discover how insulin resistance, stress hormones, and metabolic health directly impact your cardiovascular system and what you can do to protect your heart naturally. If you are ready to understand heart health at the root cause, stay with me.
All right. Hello, everyone. My name is Beth Enslin, and I am honored to be here with you tonight for this wellness webinar. And the topic tonight is called Heart Smart Metabolism, blood sugar, stress, and the real drivers of heart health. Perfect timing since February is Heart Health Month. We have a great presentation lined up for you tonight. So whether you're watching us live or catching us on the replay, we hope you enjoy all the information that's going to be shared with you. And we hope you take home a few tips that will really help you. So with that, I'd like to introduce you today to our presenters, Chris Combest, who is a board certified health and wellness coach, and Ramona Muro, who is a certified health coach. Chris, I'm going to turn this over to you.
Hey, everybody. Thanks so much for being here. We're really glad you took the time to join us. Today, we're going to talk about heart health, but not just cholesterol numbers or medication. We're looking at heart health through the lens of metabolism, how blood sugar, stress, sleep, and inflammation influence the heart every single day. And when we talk about metabolism, we're really talking about how your body processes energy, responds to stress, and repairs itself. Those processes don't happen occasionally. They happen all day, every day.
That's right, Chris. And that matters because your heart doesn't function separately from the rest of your body. It's constantly responding to the signals it receives from food, stress, sleep, and daily habits. Those signals shape how hard your heart has to work, often long before symptoms even appear.
Yeah, a lot of people that we work with, they're doing a lot of the right things. They walk, they watch their cholesterol, they try to eat reasonably well, and yet they're so confused about why their heart risk is so high. They'll say things like, I don't understand. I thought I was doing what I was supposed to do. And that disconnect is exactly what we're here to unpack tonight.
Okay, so why heart health needs to a rethink. Heart disease is still the leading cause of death, even with better medication, procedures, and technologies than even before. That tells us something important. We're very good at treating heart disease after it shows up.
Right, but we haven't done a great job addressing what's happening years before. A lot of people who experience heart events were told their labs were normal. They didn't feel sick, they weren't given a warning sign, and that disconnect, being told everything looks fine while you're not feeling fine, is often where metabolic health is being missed.
Traditional screenings is very good at catching disease once it's established, but it's not always great at showing us early metabolic stress, the kind that quietly builds up over time.
Yeah, this isn't about fear, it's about leverage. When we understand what's happening earlier in the process, we have far more opportunity to change the direction of the health of our heart.
Okay, so let's look at the old model of heart health. For a long time, heart disease was explained as cholesterol clogging arteries, like sludge building up in the pipes. The focus was low-fat diets, cholesterol numbers, genetics, medication. The model made it seem like heart disease was something that just happened, something hereditary.
Yeah, people would think, oh, my dad had heart trouble, so I'm going to have heart trouble, or my grandparents had heart trouble, then I'm going to have heart trouble.
Right.
The problem is arteries aren't pipes. They're living responsive tissue. They stretch, they repair, they react to their environment. And damage usually starts with inflammation and stress on the vessel walls, which makes them more vulnerable over time.
That inflammation often comes from metabolic stress, especially unstable blood sugar, chronic stress, poor sleep, and insulin resistance. So cholesterol plays a role, but it's not the whole story.
So that was the old model. The new model of heart health looks more upstream. We look at what's happening metabolically long before you get any kind of diagnosis. We're talking about blood sugar regulation, insulin resistance, chronic inflammation, stress hormones, sleep quality, and visceral fat. And visceral fat is the fat that is packed in around your organs. These aren't rare conditions. These are everyday physiological signals that your body responds to constantly.
And when those signals are out of balance, the heart has to work much harder. That happens behind the scenes, often for years before you even feel a symptom or receive a diagnosis.
Yeah, and that could be 5 to 10 years earlier. Heart disease doesn't usually begin with just a sudden event. It begins with years of small, repeated stressors that add up and start affecting your heart. Blood sugar is one of the strongest and most overlooked drivers of cardiovascular risk. You don't need a diabetes diagnosis for blood sugar to matter. A lot of people think, I'm not diabetic, so this doesn't apply to me. But blood sugar doesn't suddenly become important the day someone gets diagnosed with diabetes. Biology doesn't work in on and off switches, it trends over time. So every time your blood sugar rises, insulin rises to management, and that response is normal. But when you get into those spikes, when you get into those spikes every day, day after day, year after year, they place repeated stress on the blood vessels. They increase inflammation and they begin to interfere with how the heart and the arteries function, even when your labs still look normal.
Those early changes are easy to miss. Blood sugar issues often show up years before a diagnosis. They're just quieter at first. People may notice energy crashes, strong cravings, brain fogs after meals, or feeling tired despite eating what they believe is a healthy diet. They may chalk it up to stress, age, a busy life, without realizing these are only metabolic signals that also affect the heart.
Yeah, and that's why blood sugar is such a critical part of this conversation. The heart doesn't operate in isolation. It responds to what's happening metabolically in your body every single day. And if we wait until diabetes shows up, we've missed years and years of opportunity to reduce that inflammation, to protect our blood vessels, and support long-term health. And the goal here isn't fear, it's awareness and earlier action when small changes can make the biggest difference. So talking about the blood sugar spikes, every time your blood sugar spikes, like I said, insulin rises to move the glucose out of the bloodstream. When this happens occasionally, the body handles it well. That's what the body is designed to do. But when it happens repeatedly, meal after meal, day after day, week after week, the cells stop responding as efficiently, and that's called insulin resistance. Over time, blood vessels lose flexibility, inflammation increases, blood pressure rises, and the heart has to pump against so much more resistance. And all of this happens long before anyone feels sick.
Right. This isn't about one dessert, one vacation, one off day. It's about patterns over time.
Exactly, because your body is going to adapt to what it sees most often. All right, talked about visceral fat. As you can see on this slide, visceral fat is all the fat that's packed in around your organs. And it's very different from the fat that you can just pinch underneath your skin. Visceral fat's metabolically active. It releases inflammatory chemicals that worsen insulin resistance, and it actually damages your blood vessels. That's why waist circumference isn't about appearance, it's information.
We like to say body fat or belly fat is constantly communicating, and your heart is always definitely listening. When visceral fat increases, it sends out inflammatory signals that stress your heart every single day.
Yeah. Some of the early signs of insulin resistance include belly fat gain, which is that large waist circumference, fatigue after meals, cravings for sugar, for carbs, high triglycerides, and low HDL cholesterol, which is actually your good cholesterol. And again, these often show up long before blood sugar looks abnormal on your lab report.
This is why BMI alone doesn't tell the full story. Someone can look healthy on the outside and still be metabolically stressed on the inside.
Exactly. We call that a skinny fat. Someone looks thin, they look fit and everything. But metabolic health is about function, not about appearance. Stress. We all know about stress. Stress is one of the most underestimated and overlooked drivers of heart health. When you're under stress, your body activates the HPA axis, which means you release cortisol and adrenaline. These hormones are designed to keep you alive in moments of danger, but when they're chronically elevated, they quietly raise your blood sugar and your blood pressure, even if your food choices haven't changed at all.
Okay, so here's the problem. Your body doesn't know the difference between a real physical threat and modern day stress, like a tough work day, family tension, financial pressure, a packed calendar, constant notifications, poor sleep, or eating on the run. Okay, so I'm interested in which one of these you think affects your body the most. Let me know in the chat.
Yeah, for me, my main thing is poor sleep. I know that affects me.
Yeah, we got some work day, family stress, stress with family health. Yeah, work, exactly. I know for me, it's a daily stress I really need to keep an eye on. Um, so yeah, and work stress, poor sleep. Stress is a big one there.
Yeah, we've got a lot
Yeah.
of stress going on there.
Yeah.
Yeah, and all these things to your nervous system, all of it looks the same. From your body's perspective, stress is stress. It doesn't matter where it's coming from. So back-to-back meetings, rushing through your meals, and never fully powering down create the same internal chemistry as being chased by a bear. It's still stress. Your heart stays on high alert, blood sugar stays elevated, and recovery never fully happens.
This is why heart health isn't just about what you eat. It's about how often your body gets the message that it's safe to slow down.
Cortisol is helpful in short bursts. It's what helps us respond to challenges. But when cortisol stays elevated, it reduces your insulin sensitivity. It promotes the visceral fat storage, that bad fat that's packed in around your organs. It raises your blood pressure and it interferes with how the blood vessels repair themselves. Chronic stress isn't just something you feel, it's something your metabolism responds to all day long.
Which explains why people can be doing all the right things and still feel stuck.
Right. It's not that they're failing, their body is responding exactly the way it's designed to. My biggest stressor and issue is sleep. Sleep or stress raises your cortisol, and elevated cortisol disrupts your sleep. So when your sleep is poor, your blood sugar control worsens, your blood pressure rises, and inflammation increases. And each piece feeds on the next, quietly, consistently, night after night. Now, the heart isn't just working harder during the day, it's trying to manage higher blood sugar, more vascular strain, and less recovery time all at once and all day long.
And yes, that doesn't feel fair.
It doesn't, but this is also where the good news lives. When we understand the cycle, we gain leverage. Supporting stress regulation and sleep isn't a nice to have, it's essential support for your heart. You should try to shoot for 7 to 8 hours of sleep a night. Anything less, and your body doesn't have time to recover. Go ahead and put in the chat, how much sleep do you get every night? For me, I'm between 5 and 6 hours.
Yeah, I shoot for about 7 to 8 hours, Chris, because if I get less, I really feel it the next day.
Yeah, we got lots of 5 to 6, 6.
Yeah.
I saw an 8 in there, which is fabulous.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, so average here maybe about 5 to 6.
Yeah, that's what it
We
looked
do
like.
have a lot of more time, so that's go to bed a little bit earlier. Maybe that might help. But I like I said, I do try every night to do that. So when sleep improves, cortisol begins to settle, blood sugar becomes more stable, and inflammation lowers. So blood vessels get a break.
And for the first time, the heart gets the recovery time it's designed to have. And that's how we begin to break the loop. Inflammation. Inflammation just isn't about sore joints or feeling run down. It's a whole body signal, and the heart is always listening. When inflammation stays elevated, blood vessels become irritated and less flexible. That makes it harder for blood to flow smoothly and easier for pressure to rise.
And this isn't something you feel happening.
Right. Chronic inflammation is quiet. It damages the lining of the blood vessels. It disrupts nitric oxide, and it makes arteries more reactive and less resilient. Over time, the heart has to pump harder to move blood through a system that's under constant stress. So it's not one bad moment, it's the entire environment of your body.
Exactly. Inflammation makes your arteries sticky. It's a perfect environment for plaque and clots to form. This is why heart disease can hide for years. Your labs just might look perfect today, but inflammation is quietly doing damage in the background.
Yeah, and the good news is inflammation isn't permanent. When we stabilize all these things, our blood sugar, improve our sleep, reduce our stress, and support metabolic health, that inflammation is going to come down and your heart will finally get a safer environment to function in.
Okay, so cholesterol does matter, but it doesn't act alone. Cholesterol is essential for cell repair throughout the body. However, in arteries that are inflamed and dysfunctional, LDL particles can accumulate in the vessel walls and contribute to plaque formation. That process is driven by both cholesterol levels and chronic inflammation. The problem isn't cholesterol by itself. The problem is chronic inflammation that keeps the repair signals turned on.
So inflammation sets the stage and cholesterol shows up later.
That's why cholesterol numbers alone don't tell the full heart health story. They're a piece of the puzzle, not the whole picture.
Some of the strongest predictors of heart disease include high triglycerides, low HDL, which is that good cholesterol, elevated insulin, higher A1C, increased waist circumference, and poor sleep. And these markers often change years before you have any kind of cardiac event.
Which means the body is giving signals. We just have to know how to interpret them.
Yeah, when we pay attention to the markers, we have time to intervene early when change is far more effective than waiting until the damage is already done. A heart-smart metabolism means stable blood sugar, low inflammation, flexible blood vessels, and a healthy stress response. It means the heart isn't constantly compensating for metabolic stress.
Okay, so this is what prevention actually looks like.
Yeah, when the metabolic environment improves, the heart can do its job with less strain, and that's where long-term protection lives. The encouraging part of this conversation is that your body responds quickly. Protein-first meals help control those blood sugar spikes. Strength training improves insulin sensitivity, and regular movement improves vascular function. Sleep and stress recovery regulate your cortisol, which directly affects blood sugar and blood pressure.
These aren't extreme changes. They are small shifts that send powerful biological signals.
And all those signals compound over time. The good news is insulin sensitivity and inflammation can begin improving within weeks, not months, not years, weeks. And energy is often the first thing that people notice. More stable energy, fewer crashes, better focus. And when people feel better, they naturally start doing more of what supports their health, all the things that we talked about improving.
And that's momentum.
Yep. And momentum is what makes change sustainable. So this conversation isn't about blame. It's about understanding how your body actually works. Your heart listens to metabolic signals every day: blood sugar, stress, sleep, and inflammation.
And small constant shifts in these signals can change the difference of heart health over time.
And heart health is more than your 10,000 steps a day and statin drugs.
It's about creating a metabolic environment where the heart doesn't have to struggle.
Yeah, Yeah, so to wrap up, this has been a great conversation tonight. Heart health can feel overwhelming, especially when it's reduced to just numbers, medications, or fear-based messaging. Our hope is that you're walking away with a clearer understanding of why your body responds the way it does, and a few simple ideas you can carry into the weeks ahead, because small intentional shifts, when repeated, really do add up.
And if nothing else, we hope tonight helped you feel less confused and more empowered, understanding how blood sugar, stress, sleep, and inflammation work together, giving you a lot more power over your health than you ever have even imagined.
Yeah, and if this conversation helped you connect some dots or spot where your energy or health might be lacking and you'd like support creating simple, sustainable habits, we'd love to continue this conversation with you. We'll be sending out the recording of tonight's webinar along with a handout to help reinforce what we covered.
And we'd love to invite you to join us next month for our March monthly wellness webinar. On Thursday, March 19th, Kate and Susie will be teaching our next session titled Gut Check, the Real Scoop on Digestion, Metabolism, and Energy. This is a real crowd favorite for a reason.
Yeah, it really is. You'll learn how gut health influences your blood sugar, your cravings, your inflammation, and your energy, plus what normal digestion actually looks like and what it doesn't. And as a reminder, you do need to register to receive the link. So Beth, if you can drop that link in the chat, that would be great.
Thank you again for spending part of your evening with us.
Until next time, keep showing up for you, one small supportive choice at a time. It truly does matter.